Hello, I thought I'd just do a really quick video on some of my thoughts regarding the test battery options for going forward for the new report format. These are a couple of slides that I shared during the conference in London a couple of weeks ago. So many of you are using what I would call a classic battery currently. So wide range achievement test, CTOP, 2, TOEML 2, TOWRY 2. When it comes to reading tests, you may be using something like the Wyatt 3 or the Wyatt 3T. Some people use RAP 5 for the single word and GALT. The same for spelling. Obviously, if you've got GALT, you don't only got GALT, you don't have a spelling test. I know some of you may use the Helen Arkell spelling test for that. Then there's Dash 2, and then either RAP 5 maths, if you've got that, a lot of people are using, or they're using an informal test such as some trouble with maths. So here are just a few possible options depending on what you have already, whether you are looking to also do remote testing needs to be taken into consideration, and the age of the children you're assessing or the individuals you're assessing as well need to be taken into consideration. So if we have a look at possible option one, so with possible option one, it's probably one of the least expensive for the current time. So if you purchased Wyatt 3, so not 3T, you've got a whole range of tests in there, including the expressive and the receptive tests. Goes up to age 24, 11. CTOP 2 for your phonological awareness, your phonological memory, and your processing speed. And then you've got TOEML for your memory as well, and TOWRY for the speeded, as they now call them, tests, sight words and non-words, and Dash 2. Now, you could also continue with RIT for non-verbal. Remember, non-verbal is optional, but you still have to have a test because there will be times that the emerging profile suggests you need to do non-verbal or reasoning tests. So you could continue with RIT until the time that that is no longer able to be used, which I think is the end of December 2026. So a little bit longer yet. And then you would probably want to purchase a non-verbal reasoning test. Something like this, possibly Raven's Matrices. It is a newer version now, or there's others as well. So there's possible option one. Possible option two, Todd, CTOP 2 and Dash 2. So for Todd there, you've got majority of tests that you need. CTOP 2 you need for the phonological memory. Dash 2 you need for the writing. I've put Wyatt 3 in brackets because one of the problems with Todd is that the verbal tests are considered to only be receptive, not expressive. And if you look at the new report format, it says and or, but more occasions than not, it's going to be and, a receptive and an expressive test. So in that case, you might want to invest in something such as the Wyatt 3. And that will also, sorry, there's another bullet point here because I removed the word maths, but actually that does need to be there. That would also give you a maths test as well in the Wyatt 3. And it would give you some of the optional tests as, for example, a non-timed non-word. So it's quite comprehensive. Listening comprehension falls under the receptive language in the Wyatt 3. Sorry, not the 3T. The 3T is just for reading and spelling, as you are probably aware. So that's why I've put that in brackets. You could get away with this for a while, but what happens when you need a expressive language test? There is a test called the expressive language test, I believe, on the SAS list. It's about £500, £600 alone. So I think if I was investing that much, I'd be much more likely to invest in Wyatt 3. So there's another possible option. Moving on, possible option 3, Wyatt 3, IDS, TOWRY, Dash 2 and CTOP. Now, IDS has phonological awareness within it, and it has receptive and expressive language within it, but both of which only go up to 10 years 11. So you're going to need receptive and expressive from the Wyatt, and you're going to need phonological awareness for your older learners from the CTOP as well. I should say CTOP 2. And then you need your TOWRY for your speeded tests as well. Possible option 3, Wyatt 3. You see, it's coming up so much. Towery, Dash 2, CTOP, and RIAS. Now, RIAS would be providing you with a number of memory tests as well, which obviously aren't mentioned in any of these. Plus, it gives you processing speed, which is optional. So not phonological processing speed. You've got that from your CTOP, but it gives you the processing speed, which is optional in parrots and boxes. So like a visual processing speed. And it gives you your non-verbal as well here for the times when you need from non-verbal testing, as does IDS here. So there's just a few options. There's no one size fits all. It depends on budget. It depends on ages. Remember, IDS has some really low ceilings for receptive, expressive, and phonological awareness. Wyatt only goes up to 24/11, I think. So if you're going to be working with older learners, that's tricky. You might still need to have something like the RAP5 for your single word reading and spelling. Because that's one of the ones that goes up much, much higher. Obviously, Todd does as well. That's got a high ceiling. If you're thinking of remote testing, Todd is definitely available for remote testing. I'm pretty certain IDS isn't. Not sure about RIAS as well. So you need to consider all of those options. And people say, well, what are you using, Sarah? Well, I'm still on Woodcock Johnson 4. You'll notice I haven't mentioned Woodcock Johnson 5 here, because there's some question over that as to how we're going to administer it. It could be that you have to have it on an iPad or on your computer. And it's meant to be very, very expensive as well. So I haven't mentioned that at this point till we find out more information. So currently I'm using Woodcock Johnson 4 for the cognitive. I'm now using Wyatt 3. At the moment, for the old format, I'm using the verbal test, but I'm going to replace the verbal in Woodcock Johnson with the Wyatt 3T receptive and expressive as soon as I start the new report format in September. Towery 2, CTOP 2, and Dash 2. What will happen when this goes? Well, I do have Todd because I've bought that because of mentoring purposes. Wyatt 3 I'll continue to use. CTOP 2, Dash 2. Todd obviously replaces the Towery and things like that. And as an assessor who does a lot of complicated assessments, I will probably also purchase IDS. In fact, I may purchase it sooner rather than later for extended investigations as well. So that has some motor coordination investigations in there. And it has obviously attention concentration investigations as well. With Wyatt 3, I just want to mention that the UK version of Wyatt 4 hasn't yet come out, but in America, Wyatt 4 has come out. So it's a little bit of a question mark over when that will be released here in the UK version. So that is something to bear in mind. I heard somebody spoke to Ann Arbor and she said it's going to probably be about 3 years. But it is something to bear in mind as well when there is that other version on the horizon. So there's just a few ideas. I'm planning to do some more training on this. I mean, I can't train you as to what test to use because that is a personal choice. But maybe we can have a group discussion coming up in the autumn around this. Again, unless you're brand new and you need to go out and buy tests, I would say hold fire for now. You can use your RIT for expressive language. So currently you could start with the new report format with just using the RIT vocabulary for expressive language. It does leave you a gap for receptive though, but it is and or, but more likely and. So there will be times when you do need that, but times you could also get away perhaps with just the vocabulary. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Thank you.